Dude, let's lay down some hard truths here. A lot of guys trap themselves in a vicious cycle. They endure all kinds of humiliation for a mere crumb of female attention. They put up with cheating, disrespect, even emotional abuse, all because they're seriously needy. You know what that is? It's a lack of confidence. They're so desperate for approval that they'll accept anything, placing themselves in an inferior role. But let me tell you something. This neediness isn't the fault of women. It's something the guy allows to grow inside him, because from a young age he was taught to seek external validation, always trying to please, always aiming to be the nice guy, believing that if he's nice enough, he'll be valued. But the world doesn't work like that, man. What actually happens is this neediness causes a man to lose control of his own life. He doesn't realize it, but he's becoming an emotional puppet, easily manipulated by women. They can smell this vulnerability a mile away, and when they find a guy like this, their game begins. A woman will use a man's neediness to her advantage, and the poor guy doesn't even realize he's being played the whole time. Want to hear the brutal truth? Women don't want a guy who begs for love, who grovels at their feet. They want the one who's hard to win over, who's in control. And you know why? Because a genuinely confident guy doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He doesn't chase approval. He lives his life on his terms, and if she wants to tag along, great. If not, too bad for her. He follows his own path, with or without her. So bro, starting to see where the problem lies? Dude, the real deal is that without a purpose, you're lost in the game of life. And let me tell you, this is one of the biggest reasons why so many men are sunk deep into desperate neediness. They just don't know what they truly want. Without defined objectives, without clear goals, they drift, placing their bets in the wrong places. And guess what? Women become the center of their universe. Think about it. How many guys do you know who are more concerned with pleasing a girl than growing as a man? The guy is there, chasing after her, doing everything to be accepted, to get a bit of attention, while his life is stalled. With no plans, no ambition, he pours all his energy into one thing. And that thing is usually a woman. Then emotional dependency sets in. And women notice this, man. They sense when a guy is directionless, without purpose. And you know what they do? They use it. I'm not saying all women are like this, but many play with male insecurity. They want the guy who has value, who has a purpose bigger than her. But if the guy doesn't value himself, if he's not focused on becoming better every day, she's going to walk all over him. She's going to pocket him. The problem is that most guys think the solution to their life's issues is to win over a woman. They place all their happiness in the hands of someone who, honestly, won't solve their problems. And that's the fatal error. Instead of growing, evolving, gaining real power, they become emotionally dependent. And when the woman realizes he needs her more than she needs him, the game is already over. See what's going on here? The lack of purpose turns a guy into a zombie, wandering through life without direction, just reacting to what happens instead of taking the reins. That's why a man needs, above all, to find his purpose. When you know what you want and have a direction, nobody can knock you off your path. And let me tell you, that's what truly attracts. Dude, here's where things get really tricky. When a guy lacks purpose, lacks a clear direction in life, he often clings to what's easiest, immediate pleasures. That vicious cycle of scrolling through Instagram for hours, binge-watching series, or spending the whole day gaming. It's easy, but while he's distracted with these things, his life is passing him by, and he doesn't even realize he's falling behind. This whole immediate gratification thing is super sneaky because it gives that instant feel-good vibe, but doesn't last. It's like living on emotional fast food. It might seem like it solves issues at the moment, but in the long run, it just leaves you weaker, more vulnerable. And the worst part is, this cycle keeps a guy stuck in a life without growth. He keeps waiting for the next pleasure hit, whether it's on his phone screen or the next fling that comes into his life. Now, let me lay it down for you. While you're busy filling your head with distractions and seeking that instant gratification, there are tons of people chasing their dreams, making the right moves, evolving. And when you finally wake up to this, it might be too late. But the real kicker is that for many dudes, the worst addiction is the emotional dependency on a woman. They seek validation from her as if she's the sole source of pleasure and happiness. You know the guy who can only feel good when he's with a girl, who needs to be constantly texting, calling, glued to her? Yeah, that guy gets hooked on the drama of the relationship, on seeking her approval. He forgets that the more you depend on someone else for happiness, the weaker you become. And then the control is in her hands, not yours. Here's the clincher. If you can't be happy on your own, if you can't find pleasure in your own growth, you're always going to be at someone else's mercy. That's not being a man of value. That's being a pawn in someone else's game. And as long as you're trapped in that, you'll keep spinning your wheels, always chasing the next quick thrill, always at the whim of someone else. So dude, it's time to kick this habit. Now let's talk about a serious issue, the transition from neediness to emotional dependency. When a guy is down and out, lacking direction, he starts to see a woman as the savior of his life. Like, the girl becomes the most valuable thing in the world to him. The guy deludes himself into thinking that all he needs to be happy is a woman by his side. But that's where the fatal mistake lies, dude. Instead of looking for ways to evolve, to grow as a man, he puts on her the responsibility to fill the void he himself created. The truth is, this emotional dependency arises because the guy has nothing else that makes him feel good. His life is stagnant, and the woman becomes the only source of pleasure, of validation. He believes that having a girl will magically make all his problems disappear, but in reality, this is the perfect recipe for destroying his self-confidence. The problem is, when you're emotionally dependent on someone, you become weak, and women can sense that. They know when a guy is needy, desperate, and that's when control shifts. The guy starts doing everything to please, to keep her around, because he's scared of being alone, scared of facing the fact that his life is meaningless without her. And this is where you completely lose the game. You know what the outcome of this is? You become submissive, an emotional doormat. You do everything to please, not to displease, and you stop being yourself. Instead of growing and seeking something that truly makes sense in your life, you start living in her shadow, trying to avoid abandonment at all costs. And the saddest part is, the more you do this, the more she loses respect for you. Women don't want a guy who begs for attention, who does everything to be accepted. They want someone who is strong, independent, who has his own ambitions and doesn't place all his happiness in her hands. If you keep stuck in this emotional dependency, you'll continue to live at the mercy of her whims, always seeking approval, always afraid of being left. And let me tell you, buddy, as long as you live like this, you'll never be a man of value. Now it's crunch time, dude. First things first, you gotta face the mirror and admit you're in a mess. And there's no point in hiding that from yourself. It's totally fine to admit that life isn't the way you want it. The truth is, a lot of people have been or are going through this. The issue isn't being in a rough spot, it's doing nothing to change it. The first step to turning this around is to accept where you are and stop kidding yourself. As long as you lack the courage to face your own reality, you'll stay stuck in this cycle of emotional dependency and neediness. And let me drop a truth bomb. No one's coming to save you. Not a girlfriend, not friends, not family. It's all on you. Here's the deal. Most guys in this situation prefer to escape. They distract themselves with anything, social media, parties, meaningless hangouts, all to avoid what really matters. But if you genuinely want to be a man of value, you have to take control of your life. Stop outsourcing your happiness. Stop leaving your fate in someone else's hands. You're the one who has to chart the course with total focus on your personal development. Just think. A man who knows what he wants, who has a plan for his life, is totally different from a lost guy just reacting to whatever happens. A man with a purpose doesn't chase external validation. He knows that success, confidence, and even the power of attraction naturally follow when you invest in yourself. And bro, that's the real key to the game. What you do today will determine who you become in 5-10 years. So, want to know how to change? Start by setting real goals. Not those vague goals like, I want to be happy. No, I mean clear goals like, I want to improve my health. I want to earn more money. I want to gain independence. And more importantly, map out the steps to get there, because without a plan, you'll just keep spinning your wheels. All right, bro, you've got the memo that you need to take control of your life. Now, here's the next step: building a new lifestyle. Because if you keep living the way you are, nothing's going to change. Let me tell you, the path to getting rid of that neediness and emotional dependency starts when you decide you're going to be different. It's no longer about the women. It's not about pleasing anyone. It's about you. First up, setting clear goals isn't just some motivational coach talk. It's crucial. Without direction, you'll keep wandering aimlessly. So the first step is knowing exactly where you want to go. And man, these goals need to be specific. Like, I want to read 10 books this year. I want to train 4 times a week. I want to learn how to invest my money. Get it? No vague goals, or you'll never feel the progress. After that, the key to success is consistency. It's no good going hard for a week and then dropping off. Every day is a day to improve. Consistency is what will set you apart from most. Most people start pumped and quit at the first hurdle. Not you. You'll keep going even when you're lazy, even when it seems like nothing's changing. Because, dude, the process is slow, but the results are huge for those who don't stop. And here's the big secret. The more you develop, the more you'll fall in love with the process. It's like a healthy addiction. You'll want to see how far you can go, how you can be better and better. And you know what happens when you're on that path? Women notice. They see that you're on your own journey, that you have an interesting life full of purpose. You stop being the guy who chases and become the guy they want to win over. Because, let's be real, the ones who truly have value are those in constant evolution. And the craziest part is, when you're focused on you, when you're building a life that fills you with pride, you realize you don't need anyone to validate you. All right, bro, this is where the game really changes. When you start truly investing in yourself, something magical happens. Your self-esteem skyrockets and your confidence becomes rock solid. And you know what happens after that? Things change in ways you never imagined. Instead of you chasing after women, trying to squeeze into their lives, they start chasing you. It might sound cliche, but it's the truth. When you're focused on being your best self, when you have a clear purpose and are developing yourself daily, women notice the difference. They see that you're not just another desperate dude trying to impress. That's when the game completely flips. By becoming a man of purpose and value, you start to see things differently. You realize you no longer need to prove anything to anyone, because what matters is how you see yourself in the mirror. You don't need a woman's approval to feel good, because your validation comes from within. And man, that's what separates the men from the boys. The real deal is that when you reach this level, attraction comes naturally. You don't have to force anything. Women are drawn to your focus, your confidence, and the fact that you're not there begging for attention. And the craziest part? When you stop caring so much about winning someone over, that's when they start wanting to be part of your life. They recognize you're a man of value, and everyone wants to be around someone like that. But don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean you start treating women poorly or become cold. The difference is you don't need them to feel complete. You're already complete on your own, and that's what truly attracts. So instead of playing their game, you start playing your own game on equal footing and without being ruled by the emotional whims that used to bring you to your knees. Do you see the power of this whole thing? The real cure for all this neediness and emotional dependency is one thing: living a life with purpose. When you have a clear goal, when you're focused on achieving your own dreams, women stop being a desperate priority. They become what they should always be, a natural consequence of your growth, not a necessity to fill a void. And you know what that means? It means you stop living to please a woman. Just like that. The focus shifts completely. Instead of spending your energy trying to figure out what she wants, what will impress her, what will make her choose you, you're spending that energy on yourself. You're striving to be your best version. And dude, that's what really attracts. What many guys don't get is that deep down, women want to be with a man who knows what he wants, who has ambition, who's building something bigger. A guy who lives without purpose, without direction, ends up being just another face in the crowd. And believe me, nobody wants that. They want the guy who's leading his own life, who doesn't need anyone to feel complete. When you live with purpose, the power shifts hands. You're no longer chasing because your life is in motion, and anyone who wants to be by your side has to keep up with your pace. Women sense this. They see that you're not there to beg for love or attention. You're there to be who you are, and that's irresistible. The man who lives like this isn't just playing the game of seduction. He's setting the rules. The craziest part of all this? When you're focused on your development, on reaching your own goals, your confidence and self-esteem naturally rise. It's not that forced confidence full of insecurities underneath. It's solid confidence that comes from within because you know what you're building. And man, when you reach that level, life changes completely. If you want to end the neediness, start now by investing in your personal development. Don't waste any more time. Hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe to the channel for more content that will transform your life and help you become the man you were born to be.